Last week, the aggressive Retsuko ONA from Sanrio came out on Netflix. Coming into the spring 2018 season, it was my most anticipated short. I've kept up with Retsuko from when it made its debut as a 1-minute series in 2016 until it ended earlier this year after making a 100-episode run. With its comedic yet hard-hitting portrayal of office life, I was quickly engrossed and always looked forward to watching the titular character Retsuko and her struggles. But does the ONA match up to the hype of the original series? Let's find out in today's review of 2018's Aggretsuko. As mentioned earlier, Aggressive Retsuko has already been established as its own series 2 years ago. However, these shorts were not localized by any Western licensor, with viewers relying on fansubber Horseyuchi's work. That makes this rendition of Retsuko serve as the first glimpse into the franchise for many Westerners. These people were not privy to the in-jokes, characterization, and other details already set in place. Therefore, they needed to be brought up to speed. With that in mind, Aggretsuko was a clear-cut success. It did a great job taking characters and events featured in the 1-minute shorts and creating new context to be expanded on. For example, Retsuko's relationship with Director of Marketing Gori and the President's assistant Washimi existed before within the workplace and yoga class settings, but wasn't fully elaborated on and mostly played for laughs. However, in the ONA, Gori and Washimi serve as ideals to the downtrodden office worker that Retsuko is when they first cross paths in the series. The two higher-ups are given more screen time and focus, which allows their yoga class and karaoke friendship building and a subsequent emotional support and counsel to Retsuko as older established women have more impact on the viewer than episode 4 of the shorts. We get a well-rounded picture of them that isn't always comedic, but doesn't feel out of place for the comedy that this work still is. This kind of elaboration and characterization is a strength of the new series. The comedic events are interspersed into the narrative at proper places, creating a flow that feels natural while having well-timed peaks and strong development. The lengthier episode time of 15 minutes helps in this regard, giving director Rarecho and his staff the necessary breathing room not available before. He's able to establish an environment that feels fuller than what we got in the previous series, and as such has more extensive details contained inside. One of these details comes in the form of environmental reinforcement. I appreciated the show's use of the advertisements on the crowded train that Retsuko takes to work that symbolize Retsuko's struggles in each arc. The job ad for when Retsuko entertains the thought of leaving her company to work at an international goods store, and marital ads during the time that she wanted to get married as a way to leave her workplace for good are examples. These caught my eye and added some potency to the emotions and stress Retsuko faces tackling workplace issues. Through small touches like this, we get a tangible piece of the show's theming. This, as well as the overall mood, receive a heavier weight to it. By using other characters' perspectives and reads on Retsuko and her personality, and her own reactions and acceptance to who she is, Retsuko takes its humor and pairs it with a sad optimism and outlook on life. Retsuko suffers from being a diligent, responsible worker in the Japanese system, but is still able to face her job and situation and work as hard as she can. The moments that handled these perceptions hit home, and really gave me something to think about and take away from afterwards. Aggretsuko is honestly impressive in the way that it works with these elements in such a short runtime, but it couldn't pull this off if it wasn't packed with entertaining characters across the board. The characters were a big part in keeping me interested all these years, and they don't disappoint here either. Retsuko is a red panda who loves singing death metal and uses said music to air out her grievances in secret. She's a fun character to follow and the most fitting one to be the center of this series. Being so down to earth and relatable, she goes about the events in the show in such a way that the viewers can sympathize with her and root for her success. Even with that, she still has enough sass and metal in her to snap back, like she does with her superior, Tsubone. She does her best to make it through day by day, employing the fake it till you make it attitude that for many is essential. I couldn't ask for a better main character. The surrounding cast are all hits too. This rendition plays up her relationships with the witty, snarky, dry-humored Feneko and love-struck, reliable, sweet Haida that wasn't as heavily featured in the shorts. These two are part of her core friend group and support system in the show, and are contrast to Retsuko. They are each for sure standouts, and every moment with one of them on screen didn't fail to amuse me. Gazelle is just as vain and idol-like as she was in the shorts, and Kabae is all the rumor-spreading, middle-aged woman who doesn't always know how to read the room that she was before as well. These two fit their roles in the story well and never overstay their welcome, rounding out the workplace. Director Ton and his lackey sidekick Kamiya, and to a less serious level Tsubone, play their villain roles perfectly while still having a moment or two that you can empathize with them despite what they do, like Ton's words with Retsuko around the deadline. As stated before, Washimi and Gori have more importance to the show and are great characters in their own right. They complement each other's personality, are very powerful in both influence and presence, and together they provide Retsuko with key counsel and advice. In Retsuko's non-work related life, these two are integral parts. Each character fits into the story in such a way that taking one of them out will make the show feel weaker as a result, and that's never a bad thing. The plot and character elaboration weren't the only things that improved on this go-around. The audio aspects got an uplift as well. The original series had one consistent track that played in each episode, and while I'm a fan of said song, it's great to get some more variants. These new pieces properly portray the mood of each scene and add tension when needed. The sound design aspects don't fall flat either. There are some nice punchy sound effects and they are satisfying to listen to, such as the footsteps. And we can't talk about sound without getting to Retsuko's medal. As a surprise, director Rarecho is responsible for providing these vocals, and they are quite funny and well delivered, with the right amount of weight, but in a way that it feels like he had a lot of fun doing them, like with the Holy Matrimony bit. In every way, the sound rounds out the package just right, which is all I could ask for. But the other elements can only do so much, and the art in a show like this is pretty important on selling it to the viewer. Luckily, Retsuko shines here. The show as a Sanrio property uses very simplistic, heavily outlined character designs. The color palette is quite bright, with not much shading or overt definition. This allows the art to pop out, and it has a very kitschy vibe to it. The show is animated in Flash, and the art style works well for this animation system. It also does wonders for character emotion, since when paired with the sharp shadows, the explicit facial expressions come out at full force. The art was also a big reason the show caught my eye. It's a very cute poppy piece, and this helps to contribute to the show's overall mood, as well as accentuate the show's humor. Now with all these positive feelings I have coming out from my experience with Retsuko, there is one thing I missed from the shorts that left me wanting more. With the ONA only having 10 episodes, and following its own narrative, things will end up getting cut. There were some characters, like the new worker that Retsuko has to take under her wing, Doug, that don't make an appearance in the show. Due to this, some fun bits and dynamics had to be cut as well. These skits touched on different aspects of the Japanese workplace and general adult life, especially with training subordinates or dealing with problematic coworkers different from the ones already featured in the ONA. While these elements make sense to be cut in order for there to be a clear, concise narrative, and it's not egregious that they were left out, I would have loved to see more of these characters in action. Overall, Aggretsuko perfectly executes on many levels. It works for people who have seen the shorts, and also for newcomers to the franchise. With its blend of adult office humor, a kitschy bright art style, snappy movements, and fun characters, I can guarantee that you'll enjoy watching this all the way through. It takes the Japanese work system, and both makes light of and criticizes it in its own way that's enrapturing. I can't recommend it enough. If you're interested in checking it out, you can find it on Netflix. After you finish that, I recommend the 1-minute shorts as well. There are only 100 episodes, or just under 2 hours of content, so it'll be done before you know it. There are a lot of bits that you will like if the ONA stroke your fancy. Both renditions are very much worth your time. Hey guys, thanks for watching. This is a video pretty much 2 years overdue. If you couldn't tell, I'm a big fan of Retsuko and the shorts, so this is a very fun video for me to write and make and a fun series to watch. So if you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, and share with your friends. If you want more videos like this, check out my video on Mitsubishi Camp or my Eurocamp video. See you guys again soon. Peace.